All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Michaell Magrutsche, who is a multimedia artist, educator, author of 5 art-related books, podcaster, coach, creative advisor, and the former Newport Beach, California Arts Commissioner. Michaell, how you doing?
Hi, Timmy. Good to see you. Good to be here. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Awesome, man. That's great to hear. And we like to jump right in. So if you could start with telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you
Yeah.
like to do for fun, that'd be great.
Okay, I was born in Vienna, Austria, in Europe, and I was a sick child. When I hit the school, I went a year later, 7. I couldn't understand what they're talking about. I mean, I understood it, but I couldn't repeat it, like in a test or something. And they said at that time, I'm dyslexic, but I didn't know I was dysgraphic too, where I can't read my writing. And that's in grade school, that's really hard because you have to learn how to write and stuff. And I pretty much found out pretty soon that I was good with people. I was speak of the class, but I couldn't pass the class. I couldn't handle the system. I was an outcast because I couldn't play with other people, basically. I was an outcast because I couldn't understand the system. So I was always good with humans. And when I was 30, I realized, oh my God, all my jobs were art related. And then I got an inkling about, yes, I don't need to wait for the system or anybody to tell me I'm an artist. I am an artist because I look at my resumes and the work that I did. And I DJ, created fashion shows, was in electronic media, advertising, and television. So I said, I'm an artist. And then the last thing that what really upset me was like the last 6-7 years was that through my own experience and also of my friends, I found out that 97% of artists are surviving on the poverty level. So worldwide. So it's not just in America or India or China. It is worldwide. And I said, why is that? And I know a lot of people all over the world because the arts community is pretty tight. So I know him, and they all have the same thing. So when you tell somebody, hey, Timmy, I saw the painting for $11,000. Yeah, how long ago? Oh, that was 7 years ago. And how many did you sell then? Oh, I sold one $5,000 painting. You can that's $16,000. Yeah, if you have that in a gallery, that's $8,000. How are you going to live the 7 years of $11,000? So you have art. Basically, you have to have a job to do art, unless you're one of the 3% top people on the 3% that you always hear of. But you hear that in every system. You hear, oh, there was this podcast. It's got viral and whatever. And those are the very few podcasts, as you know, that make that. Or I sold a book. I was a bestseller. I wrote 5 books, and I did it for me because through dyslexia, I wanted to understand, and the writing helps me understand. But I think last year I earned $58 from 5 books, and they're really good. The people who read them told me they're good. So, and I do a free podcast. So I'm really, I just can't fit in the system. The money system, I'm not money motivated. I'm motivated of being happy and fulfilled. And I think everybody has to make that choice, how much you want to give up of that to support yourself. I mean, I have a job,
Yeah.
But I never supposed to write a book. I never supposed to be successful because I have no education. And art was my major education, the creating of art, not the product, not the painting or whatever, but the creation of art. And that's why I call art a superpower, a human inherent superpower that we all have. I mean, how did you create your podcast? Because you have that muscle to create it. Yeah, even it was limited, it wasn't open like me. I could just create, but you use that muscle to create your podcast.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. And so we've gotten a little bit into your history as an artist, I assume it's kind of what you do for fun. Like it is your expression of yourself. It's what makes
Yeah,
you happy. And you said your motivation was less around money and more around pursuing happiness. Is that correct?
yeah, yeah. Because
Awesome.
they, because I think if you're miserable, you can't, you feel like a horrible human being, and you know, you're not attracting any money. And you know, I realized when I dug into my friends and all this stuff, so we've never defined art, and the system hasn't defined art either. So in the old days, you know, the king ordered Mozart come over, play for me at night, and you can stay and I give you food. And then Michelangelo, the same thing. The church did it. You know, they gave him a stipend, but nobody is on no side is like the system side or the artist side. We have to find art, and because we are focused on the product and we have to evaluate the product, we have never looked in the creation. And I started to look in the much more powerful and much more valuable part of art, the creation, which has all the values in it, you know. And I did, you know, I did. I wrote the book and I did my 20-second podcast, which is just a quote and a question, and to help artists and creatives like you to to contemplate how valuable your existence is, because I've found that humans don't respect themselves. I mean, they we want to save nature, we say, right? We are part of nature.
Yeah.
Nature always takes care of them, of itself. You know, look at the Mayan cultures and look at all that stuff. It just grows over. If we kill ourselves like the Mayans or any other civilization, no big deal. You know, nature just grows over. So we don't. If we would have a right, if you want to really heal nature or help nature to be part of us, we have to start interacting with nature like it's supposed to be, and we have to say, we need to save nature so that our kids or kids can experience the world, how beautiful it is. Not because we have to save, there is a project, a system that's called nature, we have to save it. We don't have to save nature. We have to save ourselves, but we have no value. If we had value, if the humanity has value, not the gender, not the race, not the sexuality, those are system divisions. Those are system definition, you know? If we say, oh my God, we all can work together, and that therein we experience the value that we have as humans, not as anything else. We're humans. We're all humans. We're not even genders. Yes, we're gender. Yes, I see you are black and I'm white. You know, I see that, but that has nothing to do with anything. It has zero to do with anything. And art shows you often that, because in art, it's about the play, the music. And if you don't gel, there is nothing. If the, you know, if any band doesn't gel, the music, it doesn't work. So always the whole, the power is in the whole, you know, in together, you know, and that's why you don't have that in art. You have much less. I mean, you might still have racism in there, or sexism, but or gender discrimination, but it's much more about what is the product. What are we together creating? Not what I'm the boss and you do this and you do this and whatever. Or I can't do it because I'm just an employee, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm right there with you. I think art, um, it does promote a much more collaborative effort, just
Humane.
organically.
Yeah.
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 I love it, man. Well, awesome. Let's talk about your dreams and goals. Tell us about your vision for your life and your art going forward.
Okay. So I have no goals. I am against goals. I mean, I have one goal, to be in a moment, to enjoy the moment. Because if I say, you know, I'm working hard, making money, and then in, you know, in 10 years, I'm going to go retire and enjoy life. You know, this doesn't work. We know from statistics that it doesn't work. People retire and get a heart attack because they have no purpose anymore.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is my goal is one goal: to enjoy the moment, to milk the moment with you right now here. I'm milking the moment as much as I can, because I don't know if I'm alive in 2 days, 3 hours. I don't know. Nobody of us knows,
Yeah.
And I say I'm milking the moment to be as conscious as I can. I'm not worried about, what happens in the future, what happened in the past, because that's I think where fear happens, because you cannot imagine what happens in the future. So you start getting fear. You should have fear when a car almost runs you over. That's a legitimate fear. But you shouldn't have fear because you're afraid this is going to happen. This is going to happen. The highest form of recovery in cancer is at the hospice, because they unplug everything and they say, "Oh, go die," and you surrender, and your body is realigning. It's like you cut yourself and it just heals.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love that. I think being in the moment is one of the most powerful things that everybody is missing nowadays, including myself. Like I often
me
catch
too.
myself.
I have to remind myself. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. So
exactly.
I'm curious, when you find yourself not in the moment, what do you say to yourself? What do you do to remind yourself to come back to the moment and enjoy it?
I feel shitty. I feel shitty. I mean, it's pretty much, you feel uncomfortable. You feel awkward. You feel awkward, and the awkwardness could be, do I feel awkward because I'm afraid to ask that girl for a date? Yeah.
Yeah.
That is not an awkwardness that you have to listen to, because you have, you're shy. You don't want to ask that girl out. But if I feel awkward because like you and I are in business, right? And you ask, I say, we need to do this. And I feel right away, this feels shitty. I need to talk to you about it. And I need to get in the moment to feel out what you're thinking about. And we have a conversation and to learn about what is so uncomfortable. Because a feeling is just something that you hit the wall somewhere. Before you hit the wall, you get a feeling.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean it's right though either. That doesn't mean it's that feeling is right. That feeling could be wrong because I don't have enough information from you. That's why communication is the key in any business. In any business, communications is key. And saying, hey, and we have an agreement that we can say when it's about the business, not about personal. Oh my God, you're an asshole because you did that. But rather, it's about the business. So what you're thinking, why you think that, and the communication is the most important. I think in that communication also, any business in the future, I think any business that wants to be successful has to put humanity and nature first. Mm-hmm. If your service does not serve humanity, you need to restructure. You need to find that purpose that you have to contribute to humanity. Your podcast and what we're doing here is a service to humanity. It's a non-scripted, not controlled media. It's not people are sick of that. That's why podcasts are blooming, because people want to hear and also converse. I mean, I've interviews, I have no views, and then I've interviews have 20,000. Yeah. So first of all, I don't know how to trust those numbers because of all the bots. Yeah. But also, it doesn't really matter because you and I elevate the consciousness of all. We're all interconnected. This when you think about a person, he calls you. Things that we all, but we kind of suppress it. Oh, it doesn't matter. No, it does matter. We are all interlinked and interconnected, and that's, I think, that what you and I create. And if nobody ever sees that episode, we don't want that, but we want that people see it. But if nobody sees that, we have done our job. It's not, we shouldn't be upset and say, oh my God, we just got 2 views and we need to erase our great experience that you and I had. Yeah. And that's what people do. Artists create wonderful works. They have a magical experience in creating, right? And then it doesn't sell, or it gets bad reviews. And then they discount all the experience. Mm-hmm. And that's so, because it's like, meaning they submit to a system that is judgmental, say, oh, you're not good. You're not a good artist. God, you can't even call yourself an artist if the society doesn't say you're an artist, if you don't have numbers to do. So I think and if we want to do something in the future, in business, we have to be really clear. It has to be win-win-win. The boss has to win, the team has to win, and the customer.
Yeah.
If we don't have that, there's something that needs to be adjusted.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree. I think that's a fundamental rule of like all businesses that stay around
Exactly.
are worth their salt. It's like they're
Yep.
serving everybody. They have everybody's best intent in mind.
Yeah.
And that's what they lead with. So fantastic point. Just curious, since you're really focused on being in the moment, let's talk about some of the ways. I noticed it says that you are a podcaster, so you interview,
Yeah.
and you are a coach.
No, I don't interview. I don't interview.
Oh, you just speak.
I just, because I'm dyslexic, I couldn't do the logistics of it. I would be incapable of doing the logistics. So I'm doing a 20-second, my episode is 20, 30 seconds. It's just a quote of my art books and a question. So I give the wisdom, because language is so limited. So I give a thing so the people can relate to, and it's all about art creating. It's not about the art product. I'm not saying Van Gogh is the best painter. I'm not saying that. That's so, because everybody just talks about the product. So the art world that we know is about the product. And I'm not talking about the Walmart of art. I'm talking about the creation process that's way more humane, and it's all about humanity,
I love it. Yeah, you just answered my question. So
Yeah.
I don't even need to finish asking. It was going to be more about how you incorporate being in the moment with all that you do, but it's focusing on the creation process.
Exactly. And I try to be in everything. When I go for a swim, I try to feel my body. I try to feel my breathing. I smell. Use those are part of your superpower: smell, hearing, touching, feeling. And we need to feel. The CEO that works 60, 80 hours, what is he doing on the weekend? He doesn't get dirty on the weekend. He gets dirty. He goes into does sports. He does. He works in his garden. He tinkers on his car. So if that's such a low work, why does a CEO do that?
Yeah.
But in the system, it's low grade, right? You're washing the floor, you're washing the dishes, but then but he does the same thing. He's tinkering, he's getting his hand dirty. We need that. We're human. We need to be tactile. And that's what art taught me. All that stuff that I tell you, I have not learned from anybody, but from art. I can't read books. So if I can listen to books, but I can't read them.
Well, there we go. There we go. I love it. Well, if there were one or two people that you could meet right now and they would help you spread the message about art, who would this person be and how would they help you?
Because nobody does what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm really, everybody focused on the product and I'm focused on the creation. So I probably would talk to art educators, because I got in 2015, I got a grant for creating a new art education. And I started the self-aware art movement, which means you can explain why you create, what you create, and then you can verbalize it to others. So others have an entrance to your art. So I taught artists, 100 artists, how to express and define and verbalize and how to find it. And we can add this on this episode. I made a document that is taught on various places that you how to go about it. It's about 80 questions, and it's like a step-by-step. The first ones that gets you to the second one, and then the third one, and then you get in kind of saying, okay, I know what my value is. And mine is loud, hard contrast, courage. That's my voice, and I teach the voice too. I coach private people to find their private artists, to find their how to verbalize their thing, which then is easier for marketing. I would suggest that for every business person do. So this document is about art, but if the people want to download that from business, they can too. So it's a and just listen to this episode a couple of times. They're just understand what we're talking about. It's about really contributing to the human fabric instead of making systems better. I think, and we need to be aware that we are against each other. We need to be like, for example, the person that creates a new tax and the person that needs to pay the tax. The one is trying to get a tax that nobody can cheat, and the other one circumvents and navigates to cheat it. So we both sides are using all their creativity, not aware that we spend our time for this tax system versus for living. We're spending all that waste for, instead of creating something beautiful or new or get our human potential, we create in the mirror of taxes, we create this system where other people trying to navigate. It's the same on the web. The person put it in. It's like the viruses, I think, virus program versus viruses. Yeah. And we're wasting time. It's wasting. This is a special time to be here. We are only visiting for a very short time. It's like going to Hawaii and dirtying everything, and then just sitting, not even go on the beach. You go to Hawaii, you sit in your thing and dirty everything, and then you leave. That's what we do through systems. Yeah. We are not even aware, and we kill each other. We don't help each other out.
I gotcha. Well, what are the most important one or two things that everyday people can do to really help you spread this message? Would it be talking to art educators, talking to their family about this, talking to their siblings about this? Talk to us about that.
I think what people, regular people that like this talk between you and me, I would go on Instagram or on listen to my podcast and listen. I would first go to Instagram, just read the quotes. And then see if they resonate with you. Look at my art in the between, and then listen. If it like it, then listen to it and subscribe to the podcast. If you like that, buy my books. It's not a funnel. It's just a next level of how deep you want, how you're willing to go deep, and how much you want to get out of it. I would love that the arts community would promote it. All the art community, the art business would promote what I do, because it would help ultimately the art business. The more people understand what art is, that it is that the art product is a product. It's a manifestation of a conversation from your imagination to your physicalness. Like you had a thought about a podcast, right? And then you brought that, and you had a conversation how to do it. You tinker it out, you write it out. And then you manifest it. And that meaning your podcast is the manifestation of the non-physical to the physical. And non-physical mean not spiritual or anything. I mean, at night you're in the non-physical. You're not conscious. So you bring that in, and that's what art is. And that's why a Basquiat can go for a lot of money, because somebody recognized that we all have that muscle in us, and he recognized that the true and the essence that the person, because Basquiat, for example, had a wonderful time. If he felt like human, like me, he felt, he was drug addicted and all this stuff. But when he made art, he couldn't look at art. He couldn't look at, oh my God, do I need to pay my rent? Do I need? When you create, when you figure on your thing, you can say, oh, my girlfriend is waiting, or this is done, I have to pay the bills. You can't think about that. In creation, you have to be aligned. And that's why the creation of art is such a superpower. You have to be aligned, and that means being in a moment. So when you create, so when you're not in a moment, just create something, paint something. It's an abstract. Because just take a pencil and just scoodle. That's why kids doodle. The parents are yelling and fighting or whatever, and the kid is in the corner is coloring things. Because it brings him in the moment and it feels good. Yeah. It's getting pulled from all different sides.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much for sharing that, man. Now we're going to jump into our Thriving 3.
Okay.
And our first question is, what's your favorite book, movie, or podcast? Pick one. Or piece of art. We'll add piece of art for you.
The best book is The Power of Now. Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now is
Love that book.
My favorite book. I mean, I think I listened to it 70 times or something. It's just so unbelievable. And you hear always something new, always something new. And the guy is not pretentious. It's not spiritual. It's not, oh my God, you have to believe in this. It's just explaining how humans function.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I love this book.
The first time I read that book, he blew my mind.
Yeah, right.
First, like 2 minutes. I think the book starts out and he's like, I was 28 or something like that, and I was laying in bed. I was in the hospital. I was contemplating suicide. And then I realized that I hate myself. But if I hate myself, there must be two of me.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when he said that, blew my mind.
And he said also, he was poor, and he was just he had one meal a day, and he was just sitting on a park bench, and just looking at nature and looking at nature, and then just
bliss.
And to finding, not letting him pull. I cannot afford my meal tomorrow. Not allowing. See, that's why I'm saying this is all system defined, because the system says, if it should be sunny every day, and if it's not sunny, we sell you a Ferrari, a pill, or a face job, right? And if you get all those three, you get a Ferrari, a pill, and a face job, you're still not happy. Guess what? There's something wrong with you, Timmy. There's something wrong. And that's the total shame, right? Because then you say your essence, which is a lie against nature. Nature is always right, has no mistakes. And if you start saying, hey, there's something wrong with me, meaning I'm faulty. But in nature, an elephant and an ant has the same value because they exist.
Yep.
Every human has the same value because they exist. Otherwise, you wouldn't have made it here.
Yeah.
If you make it here on this planet, you have value. The bum on Fifth Avenue has value because the bum, everybody walks around him, gives him money, doesn't want to look at him, goes on the other side of the street. He affects more people than you and I.
Yeah.
But he is unconscious that he does. He feels his own shame of worthlessness. But he's not, and that's how we all are. We are blinded by the system perception or system value we have. And we are also, even if we had a lot of $1 million and all the fame, they're not happy either. It's all about fulfillment and happiness.
Yeah.
And that's why The Power of Now is one of my favorite. I mean, I've learned to enjoy life from this book more than anything else.
Absolutely. And what is one way you like to take care of yourself?
One way of taking care of myself, this is my care.
Mm.
This talking to other humans. I love humans. I love to interact with humans. And that is the bliss of my life. Or animals. Animals too. Dogs, there's the dogs or cats. It's just the interaction. And I love kids. I love kids because they're so clean. They're not polluted yet, because in the first 7 years we condition them, and they're so innocent, and so at the same time they have such a spirit. Yesterday I had a child in the restaurant, and the child was 3 months old, and it was crying, and the father goes down to PCH. PCH is Pacific Coast Ave, is a busy street. And that yell of that 3 months old baby, because she didn't feel well. She wasn't angry. At 3 months, you're not having those emotions yet.
Yeah.
And she was crying. And I said, I heard her from the PCH around the corner. I heard her thing. I said, that's a spirit right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I these things, this observation, this awareness, and this is what art taught me. Art taught me to be aware of my surroundings, to be in the moment. You cannot be aware if you're never in the moment. If you're always, I have to do this. Tomorrow I'm going to be successful. Or in the past. Or I was the biggest guy in the past, but I need to be in the future. It doesn't matter. If you're not in the now, you're wasting your life. Every time you are not in the now, you waste your life. You just say, hey, I'm not worthy.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Another point from that book, he said, if you're not in the now, you miss everything. And it's because everything that has ever happened, is happening, or will ever happen happens in the now.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And our future that we believe is our future is our mind now making up a future and a past.
Yep.
So it is a phenomenal book.
It is.
Keep hitting me. Hit me with questions.
Awesome. Well, what is one action step that you can take right now or continue to take if you're already doing it to get in front of more art educators?
I think I do pretty much what I do. It's I did about 80, no, 90, 91st guest appearances all over the world. In the last 6 months, 90 guest appearances. I have often 3, and the people love it. I have no pushback. I have no things that people say, oh, this is stupid what you're saying, because we're all human. I'm not saying, oh, what you do is not good, or what. I'm not against any. I'm for humanity. I'm not against system either. I say systems have to be human adapted and not system that humans adapt to systems.
Yeah. Yeah.
We and our 3 things are: creativity is one superpower. Second is dialogue, as you see here, that we are the best example. And number 3 is adaptability, because you couldn't go to a concentration camp, to slavery, to any hardship, a war, and survive if you can't adapt.
Yeah.
So those three superpowers that they're totally ignored.
No, I love that. I love that point on adaptability. I think it's just key to life. Like the people who can adapt to situations, and honestly, like I think adapting and living in the now have some things in common. Like the only reason you won't adapt is because you're living in the past or you're
in the future. Exactly. Very smart. Very, very deep points. Thank you for that. Exquisite. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, we got a couple more questions for you.
Go ahead.
What is one limiting belief that continues to pop up in your life, if any?
It's experiential, and I catch myself. So I'm, before it was all about beliefs, and now it's about perception and experience. It's all experiential. So if I think about, if a lack comes up, right? Mm-hmm. And then I ask the question, what is it in me that attracts that lack? Before I would have looked and said, do I believe I don't earn money? Do I believe the fame? What are my beliefs of fame? And now I don't do this anymore, because of the being in the now is I'm the observer. So I'm just asking, what is it in me that attracts a lack of money, a lack of fame, a lack of success, a lack of whatever? And that comes up all the time. It will never end until I go from this, but it will always say, what is that in me? And it's not about being me shaming in the past. I shamed myself. I said, oh my God, another confirmation that I'm flawed. Brené Brown talks a lot about that, about shaming, especially in systems, Yeah. So I said, in the past, it was very efforting, but through awareness, it's got so easy, because you don't even need to expect an answer. You just say, what is it in me that does this? What is it in me? You just ask the question. And sometimes I write it down, when it's getting repeatedly, I write it down. When I can't, I feel I can't resolve it, then I write it down and then reread it.
I love that. And so my next question was typically going to be, how can we reframe that limiting belief to be an abundant belief? And would you say that is becoming aware, becoming more present?
Yeah. You read my mind. Yeah. Because once you're aware, see, this is what people don't understand. Every coach gives, there's 3 steps. There's this process you have to go through. There's this thing, or you have to buy the app, or you have to listen to this, or whatever. No, it's awareness. Once you are aware, otherwise you just know it. Knowing is a different thing than be aware. Mm-hmm. Oh, you must have a bad belief because you have no money. There's so much more behind that. If you don't have money, it is it's so it's so integrated in our lives and stuff. It's so much more than a belief. It's not just a belief.
Yeah.
Because people would have all, if success and making money would, number one, would have anything together for each other, they're not even interconnected. You can work like a crazy person, right? And have no money and no fame, and you're not splurging it. How many people could never even save? The money market said, yeah, you take your assets. What is if you have no assets? Half of the workforce in the world has to live by $5.50 a day.
Yeah.
Where do you gonna get some money to invest or do something with it or save? There is not enough to save. Do you say half of the human population is lazy? That's also better way a system definition so that people get to work. So there's no lazy people. Like I said, the homeless person, you exist, you are valuable. You're perhaps not system valuable. There's a difference. Yeah, you're not system valuable, but you are valuable. I'm not system valuable very much, but I'm valuable as a human. So, and there's a big difference. See, if we can be aware about that definition alone, it's releasing your whole nervous system.
And it's a really important point, because even the people who are system valuable don't necessarily believe they're inherently valuable.
No. Do you know that's why when you have $1 billion, it doesn't get you a human value, because you're not understanding they're part of nature, and in nature doesn't make a mistake. And in nature, you exist, you're valuable. And by default, a leaf is valuable. A leaf is not more in nature. A leaf is not more valuable or less value than you. Like the elephant and the ant. It just, you exist, you have value. It's an honor to exist, to be living, a living being. That's an honor, and you need to hold to this. And you cannot say a system that we created, it's that we created, can determine, oh, your life is not worth anything. 80,000 soldiers in Ukraine, died. We do this war. More people killed themselves after Vietnam War than in the war died. So if no system has power over living beings, it cannot determine, hey, screw these people. Oh, there's a different race that we don't know. Boom, just put them into something. There's a different gender. Oh, there's trans. Those people have no life. They exist. That's why they're important.
Yeah.
They're part of the whole thing. When you cannot say, okay, I'm gonna do only when you crochet a bag. I only create the nice. I can only accept. I'm cutting out all the ones that are not perfect knots. You have no bag.
Yeah.
Your bag would not hold anything. It's what our matrix, our bag that holds us, is in the inclusion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Well, we got one last question for you.
You can have 10. I like this. This is my hobby. I told you.
Yeah. There's a common saying that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And I actually found out from Dr. Alan Leica, he was a guest on the show, that there are ways you can make a horse drink. You just have to salt its oats. If you salt the horse's oats, it'll drink water. Now, I want you to think of a person with a really fixed mindset. They're not willing to accept help. They're not willing to accept change. How can we, you and I, create an environment to salt their oats and help them change their life?
First of all, I'm against of manipulation, and salting oats is manipulation. So I would say exemplary. You pull everybody with your example, and people have the free will to say, I'm not going to go by that example. I think the salting the oats is a cute little, very low level manipulation that the horse doesn't know that you think, but you manipulate him. So the leading to ism. I don't believe in any manipulation. I believe in exemplary. You're exemplary. You have character and exemplary. All you have is your character. And if you're exemplary, you pull him with you. And even if you don't pull him with you and you don't know it, you change the environment. And perhaps, let's say you have a son and your son is rebelling against you. You being exemplary, your daughter might go after you, also follow you. Your wife might follow you. Your grandmother might follow you. Guess what happens to the son? He has no chance. He has to change.
Yeah.
He has to change. It's example, not looking outside and say, I'm gonna do this to mold this person. Also, you and I have no idea what the other, let's say what your son, you come to me and let's say you have a son and you ask him, hey, this is just an example. You and I have no clue what your son's soul is, what he wants to be. Perhaps he needs that not fitting in for the future. I mean, I was so unconscious as a kid. I just suffered and shamed myself more.
Yeah.
There's no way you could make me drink water because how are you going to get me through the school system? I didn't understand it. I had tutors. I wasn't a rebel. How you got, what is your, and I'm so happy that all that stuff happens. And when you ask people that are dying, what should you have done more? Nobody says, I should have gotten this award. I should have got another million. Nothing of system. What they usually say? I should be with my loved ones more, with my family, with my animals. I should have been more in nature. It's all about humanity. When you die, you realign to what you are, a being, not a doing. And you start valuing and reflect and say, screw it. The 1 million cost me so much life energy that I got the last million or whatever. I should have just be with my kids and not lose my wife and not, whatever, or my friends, you need the weave. We need the human weave. That's why I finish with that, because that's why I say every business that wants to survive this crisis, that where humans almost give up on themselves, we submit ourselves. This is so if you believe in God, if God came down and said, okay, I'm gonna just submit myself to humans and see what they do with me, it's crazy.
Yep.
You can't create a doll and then ask the doll, what should I do? You created a doll. You cannot submit yourself to that product.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We submit ourselves to Nike, through a state, through an ideal, through a little religion. We submit ourselves. And it is so easy because we have innate the connection to other humans. Like if I would freak out now, you would know how to deal with me. If you start attacking me, I inherently know what to do with you. We have inherent so much that you can't write down in knowledge, or it's like books. You can read every library about love. If you haven't felt love, you don't know what love is.
Yeah.
Right? It's just
facts.
Yeah, and there's no knowledge that you can read every library in the world. There's so much written about love. You will never get an inkling of what love is.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Timmy. You were a great partner in this, and because I can't paint without a canvas, and you offered a great, very generous canvas for me. And people think, oh, the canvas isn't worth anything. No, without canvas I can paint.
Yeah.
So your podcast is very important.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Timmy.
Well, awesome. If you guys are listening to this and you loved what Michael had to say, make sure to check him out. Pick up those 80 questions. All the links to do so will be down in the show notes. And thank you guys for watching. We will see you on the next one. And on that note, we're out.